Sophie and her younger sister, Emma, have always been close. Growing up in a quiet town, they shared everything: their dreams, fears, and the same circle of friends. But there's an unspoken tension in the air as they reach adulthood. Sophie, the older one, is the responsible, thoughtful one, while Emma is more carefree, beautiful, and used to getting attention. Sophie has always been protective of Emma, especially after the death of their parents when they were teenagers. Now, in their mid-20s, Emma has started dating Sophie's longtime boyfriend, Alex, without Sophie's knowledge. Sophie remains blissfully unaware of this betrayal, focused on her work and relationship with Alex, which seems perfect on the surface. However, Sophie starts to notice subtle changes in her interactions with Alex and Emma, little things that feel off. There's a distance that wasn't there before. Sophie chalks it up to her own stress from work and life, but the gnawing feeling of jealousy and suspicion begins to creep into her mind. As Sophie's suspicions grow, so does the closeness between Emma and Alex. Sophie finds herself confronted with small pieces of evidence, a glance shared between them, a private conversation that doesn't seem like it should be happening. She brushes it off, rationalizing that she's overthinking things. But deep down, she can feel the tension between the two, and it's eating at her. Meanwhile, Emma feels guilty. She never intended to fall in love with Alex. It started as a simple flirtation, a shared secret in the shadows. She tells herself it's harmless, but the guilt is suffocating. She sees Sophie as the perfect older sister, always taking the lead in everything, while Emma is left in the shadows, unnoticed. Her feelings for Alex started innocently enough, but now, they've turned into something deeper, and she can't stop herself. At a party to celebrate Sophie's promotion at work, everything comes to a head. Sophie catches Alex and Emma whispering and laughing together in a corner. The way they look at each other sends a cold shiver down Sophie's spine. But it's only when Emma calls her out for being overly suspicious that Sophie realizes the full scope of what's happening. Emma finally admits it. She's been seeing Alex behind Sophie's back for months. Sophie is devastated. The realization that her sister and her boyfriend have betrayed her cuts deeper than she ever expected. Alex tries to apologize, but Sophie can't even look at him. The trust they built over years crumbles in an instant. Sophie confronts Emma, who can barely meet her gaze, torn between her love for Alex and her guilt towards Sophie. Their once unbreakable bond begins to unravel before their eyes. What hurts Sophie the most is not just the betrayal, but the realization that Emma never considered how much this would destroy her. Sophie is torn between her love for her sister and her anger at the way Emma has played with their lives for her own desires. She demands Emma leave her apartment, needing space to breathe and think. As Sophie isolates herself in her thoughts, Alex tries to win her back. He confesses that he never meant to hurt her, that Emma seduced him, and that he couldn't resist. But Sophie, now bitter and cynical, knows the truth. Love is fragile, easily broken, and often built on lies. Alex's excuses only deepen her contempt. Sophie becomes consumed by jealousy and hatred. She refuses to forgive Emma, though a small part of her longs for their old bond. Emma, devastated by her actions, does everything she can to make amends. She apologizes, tries to explain that it was never meant to hurt Sophie. But Sophie's jealousy towards Emma grows with each passing day. She's no longer just angry at Alex. She's angry at the world for forcing her to choose between the two people she loved most. In her mind, Emma is everything she isn't: free-spirited, carefree, effortlessly attractive, and adored by everyone. Sophie starts to question whether Emma ever truly loved her or if she always saw Sophie as an obstacle to her desires. Meanwhile, Emma's relationship with Alex deteriorates as well. The guilt weighs on her, but so does the desire to keep Alex. She sees how happy they were together before everything fell apart, and she can't help but feel a pang of jealousy herself. She wants to be the center of attention in Sophie's life, but she knows that what she's done is unforgivable. Months pass, and Sophie continues to struggle with the aftermath. She distances herself from both Emma and Alex, focusing on building a life independent of their betrayal. But the scars they left behind still linger. Sophie is unable to move on, not because she still loves Alex, but because she's unsure how to let go of the pain. It is Emma, however, who takes the first step toward reconciliation. She writes Sophie a letter, apologizing for everything. She acknowledges the damage she's done and asks for forgiveness. Not just from Sophie, but from herself. She admits that she's always been envious of Sophie, of her strength and the way everyone admires her. But in doing so, she acknowledges the destructive power of jealousy and the importance of family. Sophie reads the letter, feeling a strange sense of closure. She realizes that holding on to her anger is only hurting her. She decides to meet Emma, and though the wounds haven't fully healed, they begin to talk honestly about their feelings. Sophie admits that she's been jealous of Emma too, not of her beauty or freedom, but of how effortlessly people love her. In the end, forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean everything will return to normal, but it allows them to begin again, in their own way. Sophie and Emma's relationship may never be the same, but they come to terms with their flaws, their desires, and the deep love that still binds them, despite the betrayal.